Hi, this is the lesson number 4 in the series of European literature. So far, what we have discussed, we have talked about Roman gods and Greek gods and goddesses and their civilization. And in the previous lesson, we discussed about the Greek theater. So when we talk about Greek theater, one prominent name we have, that is Homer. About Homer and his life, okay, we shall discuss in the next lesson. But first we have the not just introduction, in fact the detailed study of the Trojan War. Here I tell you something that Homer, the Greek writer, he has written two epic works. One is Iliad and second is Odyssey. Iliad contains everything about Trojan War, means the event of Trojan War and whatever was the circumstances during that time between these two cities and Troy and Sparta. And all about Trojan War we have Iliad and Odyssey, the other work that is about the after events of Trojan War, what happens after Trojan War. So two things, about Trojan War we have Iliad, and after Trojan War what happens, that is in Odyssey. So we are now just discussing about Trojan War specifically. It's a mythical story. It is somewhere as we say that epic work, like Mahabharata we have in India. So everything you see in Mahabharata, magic and some realistic things, then divine things, then means epic war. So all everything you will find here in this Trojan War. So we shall start about this, and first some of the important points about this. First, this is the epic war and it went for almost 10 years. And second, why it was caused? It was caused between the two cities. I mentioned Spartans, they represent the Greeks, and then we have the Troyes or Trojans, because this war was almost means happening in the city of Troy. That is why it was called as the Trojan War. So it happened in the city of Troy, not in Greece. And the cause of this war was the most beautiful lady in the world. That name of that lady is Helen, or sometime called as Helena. So we shall start discussing about all the events and major character of this story, or whatever. It's in the narrative form. It's an epic poem, but we are now mostly at the time we are just thinking about the main plot of the story. About the poem or about this epic work we shall discuss in the next lesson. But for the plot and the entire story, this is to be first considered, I would say, because every event involved in this story, every character, somewhere you will see that in the literature. Sometimes any instance is taken from the Trojan War. Sometimes a special character is given a name on reflecting the some characteristics or the qualities of the character appearing in the Trojan War. So without wasting time, we are just diving into the plot now. How it starts? It starts with the god Zeus. Okay, one thing I forgot to tell you, that the poem Iliad starts in the media res, means already some of the events have passed, but we are now taking as the story of the Trojan War. So I will just tell you the actions or the events happening one by one. So it starts with Zeus, the god, the king of other gods, Zeus. If you haven't listened to the lesson number 1, please go there, because about Zeus you will understand some of the things, how he became the king of the other gods, Olympian god he is. So Zeus, he is holding a celebration, a party form, means he has invited everyone, but he has not invited Ares, his wife. He had a number of wives, so one of them was Ares, his wife, the goddess. She is the goddess of strife or discord or dispute means वो लड़ाई करवाती थी. That's we can in a simple way we can say, as in Indian tradition we have gods and goddesses. Every god has a special characteristic. He is the god of air or fire or water. So similar thing is with this goddess, that she is the goddess of means strife and discord, and Zeus is the god of sky. Okay, what happened? Ares is not invited, and she felt angry on this. And what she did? She brought a golden apple, and she threw this apple in that celebration. Now you can imagine that picture, as we have seen in the most of the TV serials. There means heaven is shown, means someone from the top of the means everything, means he's sending something, and there are people who are celebrating. So such sort of things, you can imagine sky and clouds and everything like heaven. So such things are happening, and she has thrown an apple, a golden apple, in that party or in that celebration, and on that it was written that it is for the most beautiful. And when some of the women's, because there were goddesses, other goddesses were there, when they saw that there is an apple and it's written for some the most beautiful one, so all started claiming that this is mine or this is mine, because they all considered themselves to be the most beautiful. And there come a term, you might have heard this term, apple of discord. So in English there is an idiom, apple of discord. It comes from here. So among the other goddesses who were claiming for this apple, three names we have: Aphrodite or Aphrodite, and then Hera, and then Athena. They started claiming for the apple that this belonged to them. And then the god Zeus intervened, and he said that, okay, I will solve this riddle, and I will bring justice between or among all you three. For this means to claim this apple, you have to go to the city of Troy, and there you will find Prince Paris. So what is happening? The king or the king of gods, Zeus, he is asking all these three ladies or the three goddesses that you go to the city of Troy, and there you will find the Paris. He is the son of the king Priam, and you have to go to him, and he will tell you who is the best among you all three. So the Prince Paris has to decide who is the most beautiful among you three. So all three goddesses, they got agreed. Now who is Prince Paris? So first we have a bit introduction about him. Who is Prince Paris? As I mentioned that he is the son of King Priam. Priam is the king of the Trojans or the city of Troy, and he has several sons. So one of them is Hector, and one is Paris, and then one is a daughter, that is Cassandra. Cassandra is Paris' sister. About Cassandra, it is said that she is means a fortune teller, or she is the prophecy maker, means she has this divine power to see the future. But curse with her, that, or something like you say that a bad thing was that no one would believe her. This was the curse on her, that even if she tells to the people that she knows what will happen, and she warned the people that, okay, don't do this, this will happen in the future, the people will not believe her. So this was the curse on her. So sometime it is also said that it is Cassandra's prophecy. So if it is Cassandra's prophecy, it means that it is a future, but nobody will believe it. So this is about the family of Paris. He is the son of the king Priam. Now all three goddesses are before the Prince Paris, and they are asking him one by one. First, Hera said that if you call me the most beautiful, what she will do? She will give him the rich kingdom. She will give him the wealth and all those materialistic things. Means she will give him treasure and fortunes. Then came Athena. Athena said that she will give him power and strength and army. And then came Aphrodite. Aphrodite said that if you choose me as the most beautiful, she will make him as the lover of the most beautiful women on this earth, that is Helen. And eventually Helen would also love him, means make Helen also fall in love with him. So she was promising him a love affair with Helen. And when Prince Paris listened to all three, it's quite obvious what he would have chosen. He went for Aphrodite and chose that Aphrodite is the most beautiful woman. Now, Aphrodite has to fulfill her promise. So she took Paris, the Prince Paris, to the city of Sparta, and where she means arranges a meeting with her magic or so. She arranges a meeting between Helen and the Prince Paris, and eventually, as the magic, both fell in love with one another. Now, who is Helen? So I will give you some introduction about her background and her family. Who is Helen? In the previous lesson, I mentioned that Helen is a demigoddess, god or demigoddess. Why? Because she is the daughter of god Zeus, the same god who is organizing the feast in the beginning. So she is the daughter of god Zeus and earthly women, because she is demigoddess. So demigoddess means her father or mother, one of them has to be earthly human being. So her mother Leda is from earth, human being, and god Zeus, her father. In fact, god Zeus raped her mother, and after that born Helen. And later her mother Leda, she is married to Tyndareus, another king, and after their marriage a daughter born, and name of that daughter was Clytemnestra. So we have Clytemnestra and Helen as the stepsisters, and then Clytemnestra is first married to Agamemnon. Agamemnon is the king of Sparta, and later Helen is married to Menelaus. So just try to remember such names. Clytemnestra is married to Agamemnon and Helen is married to Menelaus. Who is Menelaus? Menelaus is also the king of Sparta. He is the brother of Agamemnon. So both sisters are married to the two brothers, and they are the king of the Spartas, or Greek, you can say Greek. So they are on the Greek side. So in this story we have two parties. The first party is of the Prince Troy, that is the Troy city, and other party we have that belongs to Helen and her husbands and the entire family that belongs to the Greek city Sparta. So that is the introduction about Helen. And now we go back to the main plot. What was happening, that Helen and Paris, they are fallen in love, and eventually Helen eloped with Paris to the city of Troy. And in the city of Troy, okay, the king Priam, he did not welcome her, but eventually he accepted her somehow as the wife of his son, means Prince Paris. And on the other hand, in Sparta, what was happening, the king Menelaus, when he came to know about all this, that his wife has eloped with the Prince Paris of Troy, and he got angry and he prepared the army with his brother, and the name of brother is Agamemnon. So now the Spartan army is ready to approach the city of Troy, because there is a distance between them, there is a sea between them. And about the Troy city, first we are introduced about the very strong fencing structure of the city. Means its walls are so high and strong that no one can easily invade it. So it's not possible to invade, to go through, means go into the city. You can say that this city is surrounded by strong walls, means no one can enter this city. So it will be very difficult for the Spartan to attack the city. So they are just outside the city and waiting that how can they manage the war, or how can they defeat the Troys. One more thing to be remembered, that Greeks, they have traveled from Sparta to Troy, and means with their army, even because there are two three kings like Menelaus is there, Agamemnon is there, and then some good names like Achilles is there. So all they are there with their army. So it's not so easy for them to keep them together, because sometime because this war, as I told you, that it kept running, means going for 10 years. So sometimes even the Greeks were fighting with themselves. They were annoyed with one another or angry with one another for any reason. It happened. And on the other hand, from the city of Troy, as you can see, means that some wars are somewhere perfectly managed, as we see in the Mahabharata. So similar was the situation, means that sometimes there is a one-to-one fight, sometimes there is a many-to-many fight going on, sometimes there is a interaction going on, means they are means having a means a talk with one another about the planning, or even about the disagreement, or even warning one another that for example, that Menelaus was saying that the king Prince Paris has to return his wife Helena, and on the other hand Paris was saying that Helena was residing with him or living with him for her by her own choice, not with force. So such things were happening during that time of 10 years. So some of the events, as we are told in the story, so I will narrate to you. So first is the event of the Achilles. What happens with this superhero or this demigod Achilles? About Achilles, I have told you in the previous lesson that he is a demigod, and he's entirely immortal except his heels. One of his heels having his weakness, and the mythical story I have told you about his mother dipping him in the water and holding him from one of his heels. That is why he became mortal on his heel. Otherwise, he is completely immortal. So there is a story about him even in this war. What is the story? He is a Greek warrior, and he is in love with a lady called as the Briseis or Briseis, however you call her name, and he is in love with her, and he does not want to take part in this war. But the king Menelaus, he wants that Achilles, the fighter like Achilles, should take part and help him defeat the Trojans. And why he is not willing to take part? So now, what is the reason? He was in love with this Briseis, and this lady Briseis was married to any other person. And later, what Achilles did, that he murdered her husband or her other every family member, and took her and was keeping her as her enslave, or somewhere we can call her as the concubine. Means she was not his wife, but he was keeping her like his maid. And then Agamemnon, he uh, took her, and he was now keeping that girl. So somewhere Achilles was loving a woman, and the king Agamemnon, he was keeping he started keeping that woman with him, and that is why Achilles was annoyed with him, and in fact angry with him. Then we have an event where Patroclus, another character, he is the friend of Achilles. Patroclus died in the war, and as a result, Achilles got angry. And on the other hand, Agamemnon too returned to him and said that if he fights for him in the war, he will return Briseis to him, the same lady, because that lady is now with Agamemnon. But Agamemnon promised that if Achilles fight in the war, then lady will be returned to him. At this, Achilles got agreed. And now in the war we have one-to-one battle between the Prince Hector from the Troy side and Achilles from the Spartan side. And there was a strong battle going on, and eventually the Prince Hector got died. But what Achilles did, he first dragged him all the way by tying him behind his horse and dragging him all the way, means making insult to his dead body. And then even means every possible way he insulted the dead body of the prince Hector. And now the prince Paris, he had to take the charge, because in the among the Troys we have Prince Hector and Prince Paris, both are the son of the king Priam. Prince Paris is about his personal quality. He's not as brave. He's not so strong. He's not so means not a good warrior like his brother. But eventually he had to take part, and somewhere he came to know about this. Okay, it was something divinely we can say. He came to know that they about Achilles' weakness, means about the problem or the weakness he has in his heel. So what Prince Paris did, that he knowingly hit Achilles in his heel with a poisonous arrow, and eventually with that arrow Achilles died. So that's how the great warrior Achilles died, by the arrow hitting in his heel. So that's how we see that Prince Paris has taken the revenge. First, Achilles took the revenge from Hector, because Hector killed Patroclus, and then Achilles killed Hector, and now Paris killed Achilles. And after the death of Achilles, there comes the another person who takes the charge of the war. And name of that person we have, okay, there are two names quite famous about him. First is Odyssey or Odysseus. Odysseus is the name quite famous in the Greek culture, and his equivalent we have in Roman culture, that is the name Ulysses. So if you find two names, both represent the same character and almost the same stories in the Roman and Greek culture. So we are taking his name as the Odyssey, because the next work we have to discuss, that is Odyssey. So his name is Odysseus. He is a Greek warrior and he takes the charge. Now he is thinking that how to invade the city and how to defeat them, because fighting for that long period outside the city, it's not possible for them to survive. And that is why he is thinking that now to finish the war and invade the city, only this way they can do this. So what he did, that he made a large house, not a house, sorry, a large wooden horse, so large, means even you can say 10 or 20 times of the height of a human being. And in that horse they with a plan hid themselves, means a number of warriors like Agamemnon, Menelaus, and he himself Odysseus, they hid in that horse. Okay, that horse, it's a wooden and it has some wheels, and the rest of the Greek army, they hid themselves somewhere, means away from the city, so that the people of the Troy city cannot get any hint. And all this happened in the evening, when in the morning the city people of the Troy, they saw that there is a horse, a huge wooden horse, and no one is there. And they all get confused. Even the king Priam, when noticed that there is a horse, a wooden horse, and no one other is there, what is the reason? What happened? At first the king thought that he should burn down this horse. uh, with doubts he was having in his mind, he thought that he should burn this. But at the same time he thought that it's means horse is a very sacred animal for them, he must not burn this. And then he took the things as the Greeks, means they have surrendered and they had gone away, and they had left this gift, that is the horse. So what happened, the king allowed and that horse to enter the city. So all the soldiers pulled that horse into the city, and all they started being, means they closed the door of the city, the horse is inside, and they all started celebrating. So all the night the celebration was going on. Every warrior got completely drunk, and in the midnight or somewhere, the warrior Odysseus, and he just opened the door, means of the horse somewhere, and all they came out one by one from the horse, and they started attacking the drunken soldier, or sometimes sleeping soldiers, and they completely burned down the city. So everyone, whoever inside was, that they just killed him, and they successfully, means, invaded the city of Troy, and that's how they managed to defeat the Trojan people, and the Greeks won this war. What happened to Helen? There are two or three different versions, and in some version it is shown that the king Menelaus took back her to the city of Sparta, and that's how this war ended. Means the complete city of the Troy was burned down. What happened after this war? That's important, because one by one the army of the king Agamemnon, and then the Menelaus, and then the Odysseus, their army started going back to their Spartan city. And what happened to Odysseus and his army? That is told in the work, that is the other work we are going to talk about, that is Odysseus, so, or the Odyssey. That work is about the events of Odysseus, how he go back to his native place during that time, during that journey, whatever the difficulty or obstacles he faced, everything is told about in that work. So for this is all about Trojan War. So important characters, I have told you about the Prince Paris, and then we have Helen, and among Helen's family we have her husband Menelaus, and Menelaus' brother is Agamemnon, and among the Prince Paris family we have his elder brother Hector, who died in the war, his father King Priam, and Achilles is the hero from the Spartan or the Greek side. He also died during this war, and the main person behind the Trojan invasion, and or we can say behind the concept of that wooden horse, is the Odyssey, and his name somewhere you will find as the Ulysses in Roman culture. So that's all we have. Trojan horse, you may have heard this term. So this is same, or it is taken from here. Trojan horse is a virus or a computer virus, and it is taken from there. Means that horse is coming into the city of Troyes or Trojans. It means it is entering with a, means deception, not means not with a good intentions or to do good, but this Trojan horse entered in the city of Troy only to devastate the things, only to demolish the things. So such evil desires that Trojan horse had. So that is why that virus is also named on that. So that's it for this work. We had discussed about now the Trojan War, and in the next lesson we shall discuss about Homer, about important characteristics of his works, and then his most important work. Some of the points about Iliad as well, about this Trojan War, and then about his work Odyssey. So thanks for watching this lesson. Have a nice day.